I'm very happy to have another young Indian with us today, part of the Voice of the Young series. Hello, everyone. Good to be back. Right now, we have with us Sidharth Rajee Nair. Let's listen to him. Over to you, Sidharth.
Thank you so much, sir. And before I proceed, I would like to thank you for giving me this amazing opportunity to, share my views and my opinions and my beliefs. I think it's an amazing platform in which, we, the youth of India, can share our aspirations and our hopes for the future. And I'm really, really looking forward to how it develops in the future. And so all the very best for that particular initiative, and proud to be a part of it as well.
Thank you.
Before I go ahead into the crux of what I meaning to talk about, I would like to provide a small introduction about myself and my brief experiences, which could be ideal in understanding like how I think or how my views are formatted. So I'm Sidharth Rajee Nair. I am pursuing my master's, my MSc in Local Economic Development at the LSE, the London School of Economics. I have finished my undergraduation in 2023 with a BA honors in economics at the Symbiosis College of Arts and Commerce in Pune. And before that, I finished my schooling, that is my 12th, in commerce with economics, accountancy, psychology, and business at the Millennium School, Dubai. So by the names itself, I'm pretty sure it's quite a varied experiences that I've been having, be it in terms of geography or academia as such. I think these experiences have surely shaped my opinions, my views, and my perspectives into a variety of things that I have been going through as well. Now, economics is a subject that is quite, close to my heart, and in fact, I've chosen my undergraduation and post-graduation for that very subject. And the experience of it is quite unique because you see, I am a migrant. Basically, my parents, they have been working in the Middle East since the 1990s, and I was born and brought up here. And every year or so, we used to go to India, to Kerala, where I'm from, for our summer vacations. And I used to always look forward for that particular period of time because that is the one period of time where I get to see all my cousins, my relatives, my my grandparents, my uncles and aunts, and so on and so forth. And usually when we're back, it's a huge reunion of sorts. And I used to always look forward to that particular occasion. And so naturally, when that time passes and it's the time to come back, it sort of evokes certain strong feelings in me, and prompted me to ask my parents, why did we move, to Dubai? Why did you move to Dubai? Why did you plan to raise a family here? You could have, just chosen to stay in, let's say in India, in Kerala. You could have worked here and started a life here. And I used to always prompt my parents with those questions, and they used to always tell me, you will not understand this now, but as you grow up you will. And as right as they were, I did understand as I was growing up, all about the fact that the major crux of the point was that we move to look for better opportunities and better livelihoods, and better quality of life, in other words. And that is the fundamental crux of any sort of migration over a period of time. And although that question had been answered to me, I was still in the crux of understanding, why couldn't we not replicate these same opportunities back at home? And that led to a lot of deep thinking, insightful words to my professors, my teachers, and this was during school, by the way. And there was a lot I was getting at, trying to understand why was the fact that we were here. Apart from the economic aspect of it, there was a lot of cultural context as well, because I'm pretty sure most people already know, the fact was that in Kerala, a lot of the people, skilled labor force, they often tend to work in the Middle East. And so there was a sort of a familial pressure as well to move to greener pastures to look for better opportunities. So I was trying to understand this complex mix between economic factors and social factors and cultural factors of inspiring or like motivating a person to, let's say, leave his home, his family, in search of greener pastures in a completely different land, a new land. And that made me realize that yeah, opportunity is at the crux of everything that we do. And Dubai is the biggest example of it, wherein, or the whole country for that matter, the United Arab Emirates, it has the majority of the population are expats, particularly from the South Asian countries of India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, so on and so forth. And it made me deeply introspect between the push and pull factors of migration between regions and between the countries as well. And being, let's say, a test tube child of that particular phenomenon, it was all the more reason to understand how this phenomenon took place and how you understand the whole physics of it, so as to say. And that's when I caught my attention into the concept of remittances as well, because the whole concept of remittances is what keeps a tiny state such as Kerala afloat. And that has been a huge interest of mine, to study how we look at money inflows of different states and different bodies all throughout India as well. And with the majority of the population, with a huge chunk of the population in various parts of the world, we're seeing a huge amount of money that is being remitted back to India, especially the state of Kerala for that matter. And we are seeing what is known as the remittance economy. And myself, my parents, we often send back money to relatives and grandparents, and we sort of see the practice in person as well. And the one thing that was quite shocking was that at the onset of the pandemic, a lot of the people that were working here in semi-skilled jobs, or let's say unskilled and even skilled jobs for that matter, had to lose their jobs, unfortunately, due to the prevailing unfortunate market situations. And we saw a huge decline in the remittances that was going back towards India. Not only just Kerala, but a lot of the other states as well, particularly where majority of the population were outside. And that also sort of made me think that this dependence that we have on, let's say, people such as ourselves who are abroad is a lot. And keeping the economy afloat on such remittances is quite risky, considering such facts, let's say the pandemic or any war. Even in the Ukraine situation, we are seeing a lot of Indian students who are studying coming back to India as well. And it made me realize that the migration that we are seeing is alive and real. Often we talk about it, we joke about it, but the fact that we have to cater to our citizens who are there, and we have to present them with opportunities that are there in our states as well, in our countries, in our cities, in our villages, in our towns. And that sort of got me thinking into and my fascination into labor economics as such, and made me sort of channel my thinking towards that particular side. And also even policy for that matter. Policy has been a huge interest of mine, as to how we are sort of limiting the brain drain and the brain gain as well. I mean, enhancing the brain gain as well. And this is a phenomenon, quite surprisingly, not just limited to India or let's say the developing countries, but also we are seeing the phenomenon in countries such as France, the United Kingdom, even US for that matter, where a lot of the people are moving from the cities and from the countries itself to other countries or other nations to look for greener pastures. Often, what is the predisposition is that we often think that this is a situation or an isolated incident to developing countries such as China or India, or let's say the South Asian countries or the Southeast Asian countries, but it is rather a widespread problem. And in my experience of being in London for the past 4 or 5 months, I've gotten to know through my experience with the people who are coming in from the Eastern European countries as well, that this is an issue that is being faced by a lot of the countries as well. And with a holistic approach towards place-based policies that we have learned in our local economic development theory, we are being able to see how we can keep the populations in the places that they have been born and brought up in, and sort of balancing out the economical inequalities that are prevalent or that are caused due to migration as such. And I think that is something that's quite fundamental to study and understand as well. And the whole concept of making me interested towards that has again been my experiences, as I've mentioned before, and seeing people in their places. It could be the tea vendor for that matter, a tea vendor from Bengal, or it could be the CEO of a trading company from Gujarat, or even the finance manager from Tamil Nadu as well. And each of us have different stories to tell. However, it all comes on to the same balance. So there is a small understanding about the whole concept of how I view the migration, in other words, and how I feel there is a huge necessity for the government, not only of the central government, but of the state governments, to create good avenues wherein which we can create opportunities for our citizens who have been so highly skilled and who are coming back from studying in such amazing universities or been living abroad back to their home states and home countries, so as to contribute effectively and to shed the so-called NRI image of living off of easy money that they have so-called made in the States or in the UK or so on and so on. That leads me to another fascination of mine, and which has sort of led me into the direction which I am in right now, which is urban economics, and basically my course, that is the local economic development studies that I'm pursuing. The course is a short intro into the course is that it is basically focused on regional economics and how we can sort of bridge the gap between different regions within a country, as well as comparing between different regions of other countries as well. And so far the course has been going on, and it's the fourth month as of now, and I've been getting an amazing insight as to how there are so many regional variations and differences across countries, and also across countries that we normally thought as, let's say, rich or prosperous. And we as Indians, I'm pretty sure we are very familiar with the fact that there are certain prosperous states and there are certain weaker states. But to see the phenomenon sort of spread out into, the wider gap, let's say in the European countries and even in the Americas for that matter, was of pure fascination to me. And even talking with the people from these regions sort of led me an insight into which how we could relate with the people from these regions, with the people from the Indian regions as such. We were also familiarized with concepts, let's say, with labor surplus region, capital rich region, and so on and so forth. And I've sort of started being interested in the whole concept of the economics of urban and regional planning.
Mhm.
I mean, I've spent, unfortunately, due to the pandemic, I was supposed to spend 3 years for my undergraduate in Pune, but because we had the lockdown, I could unfortunately only spend 1 year. But that 1 year was my first experience out of my comfort zone, that was home and Dubai, and my first step into the real world, I would say, the world of reality, wherein you manage everything by yourself, wherein you're in India and you see the realities of the world, the people who are living in India, the people who are surviving, hand to mouth for that existence, for that matter, and where you can see such immense display of wealth. At the same time, right next to it, you can also see such abject poverty, and this is not just limited to India. And a lot of it has been focused on our urban landscape, especially cities. Pune is a rather pretty big city, and I would be using the reference of Pune because that was the one city where I lived, let's say, a whole year in. And Pune is it's a pretty old city. It is a culturally important city in the context of Maharashtra and the world. It is known as Oxford of the East. It has a huge, influence and a lot of investment, especially in the educational field. At the same time, when I look at the city from above, or when I see how the city is planned economically, I frankly do not see any planning. And this is unfortunately the reality and the truth of not just Pune, but a vast majority of cities that are present in our great nation of India. Take it Mumbai for that matter. The first problem that would come into my mind is the horrible housing market that we have, the drainage system, the sewage system that we have in place. Or let's take Delhi, of course, the pollution issue that we are facing, or even Chennai for that matter. Recently, it's been in the news for suffering from catastrophic flooding, and a huge amount of life, unfortunately, was lost. A lot of damage to property, people's lives, people's livelihoods, and taking Bangalore for that example, we are seeing a huge loss of efficiency and productivity because of the vast amount of traffic that we're seeing from commuting from one end of the city to another end of the city. And that was made the whole phenomenon of analyzing these few cities, these four core cities of India, and seeing what is the issue that we're facing in all of our cities. Is the crux is that we are looking at a lack of efficient and suitable planning that is suited for the cities of the Indian subcontinent. A brief history, if I may, is that most of our cities were planned by the British. And rightly so, it was planned for a different era, a different time, for a different purpose, and completely for a different set of people. But the cities of the Pune of today is not the Pune of 1920s, or let's say the Mumbai of 2023 is not the Mumbai of 1930s. And therefore, we essentially had to evolve our city planning, urban design structures, but we haven't. And as a result, we are looking at an inefficient drainage system, an inaccessible public transportation network. We're looking at huge swaths of communities, let it be minorities, or socially disadvantaged groups completely off the safety social net of the government as well. And all this is linked to planning because planning determines where each and every amenity or each and every service that is being catered towards each and every individual is. And solely because of the lack of planning, we are not seeing any provision of any social services in an efficient way that is provided to any of the citizens that are present in these cities. And this is a broad outlay of the topic. And especially what we have sort of come across is that the housing markets, indeed, is one particular field of my interest where I look at um, how the different housing markets across the different cities vary. And I love Mumbai. I've been to Mumbai a couple of times, and I genuinely love the atmosphere, the vibe of Mumbai. And I was genuinely telling my parents that maybe we could buy a flat here or an apartment here. And then it was when I was scrolling through the average prices of the housing market in Mumbai. Yeah, I was like, maybe we can put this off for a few more years. And that's when I realized that it's a very hostile environment for first time house owners to even think of buying a house in Mumbai. And I might be coming from a rather privileged position, and I was just thinking that I cannot even imagine the positions of those socially disadvantaged people who are forced to resort to live in slums or hutments and dwellments in such cities like Mumbai, Bangalore, Pune, Chennai, and so on and so forth. It is not just about the beautification of the city, as so often many people talk about, but it's also about providing a clean and sanitary environment for people to live, to eat, to study, and to sort of get on their life with. And that has been one of my main focuses on how to provide affordable housing, public affordable housing to the citizens of these dwellings. And one of the projects that really lightened, that sort of like gave me hope was the Dharavi housing development program that is being currently undertaken by the Adani Group, if I am not wrong. And seeing how it was being done, it gave me a lot of hope as to how we can replicate that model to other cities as well. The main factor to understand is that a lot of the workforce that we are seeing are coming from out of the state, especially in, let's say, metropolitan cities such as Chennai, Mumbai, Pune. And often, when you come from another state, it is a bit more harder to buy a house or to register yourself into that particular state to get all the public services and amenities that you would have gotten in your home state. And what we're seeing right now is a very public oriented and public service oriented move to provide housing to people who are coming in from a variety of states. Take it Uttar Pradesh, Jharkhand, Bihar, Gujarat, so on and so forth, to provide them the affordable housing that they so rightly deserve. And I think this is one of the projects that we should definitely keep a watch on and genuinely follow up. And even talking from an academia perspective as well, affordable housing is has been the core principle of a lot of urban economists as well. And coming from London itself, where I stay, I have to say the housing prices there also aren't that pretty. And we're seeing the huge deficiency in council housing, which is the public subsidized form of housings in different councils of urban councils of London. How that has also been under increasing pressure to deal with a vast number of people who just don't have the number of homes that they are willing or they're deserving to get. So you have a very overstressed public housing department and a huge amount of people who are waiting to get their first houses, be it for rent or to buy those houses in the first place. And I think that if we follow the model that Adani has been following, and if it comes out in the right structure and in the right policy framework that we have been intending, I think it has a really good scope as to providing, the most lowly of low people, the most socially disadvantaged groups of people, a home above their heads. Because as we all know, a home is not just a four wall structure, but it is an emotion, a feeling of having your own place in a huge city or in a huge place as such. And I think that is something that we are addressing, but rather slowly. But I think we are on a good stride with that. Another issue that I find quite interesting to talk about is gentrification as well. Gentrification is a phenomenon that we have been observing in especially huge cities such as London and Mumbai as well, wherein a lot of urban development projects. In London, we have, for an example, I might bring to you the topic of London has had a docklands, and the government started developing the docklands quite some years back, to necessitate the rising needs of a growing city. And since all of the commercial ports and shipping was carried out by other ports that were further down to the coast, the need of the docklands was sort of, there was no need of the docklands, in other words. And therefore the government was successful in making these once abandoned warehouses and docklands into shiny structures, glimmering skyscrapers of those areas, into financial powerhouses of that particular city. And the name is Canary Wharf. And you can see a huge array, and how they have developed that land is just astounding. And I think that is what we also should move towards, especially in the Indian context. Urban urban development and land regeneration is a thing that we are often overlooked. And I think the whole focus should be more towards how we can pioneer in helping the regeneration of land, providing the tenants an opportunity to contribute to the economy of the local economy, economy of the city or the town or whatever it is, and to prevent gentrification. Because gentrification, as we know, is a bad thing over and all. It's a clear open and close case. And in Mumbai, the unfortunate reality is that instead of focusing on public housing, we are looking at large scale, luxurious real estate that have been popping up in the past few decades, especially the 30, 40 floor storied houses, or penthouses with swimming pools and, whatnot, gyms, 2, 3 car parks. That is not what we need. We need sustainable and public housing for the people who are living in squalor, people who are living in unhygienic and unsanitary conditions. And this is something that I'm really, really looking forward to work it. It is a passion of mine as well, because housing has rather a close spot to my heart, so as to say. And the economic benefits of it is insurmountable, so as to speak, because we're looking at not only giving homes to the people, but we're giving them a base to stay, a base to wherein they can look for jobs, they can get themselves educated, and to further prosper their lives. So I think this is a few of the points that I critically wanted to focus on. And lastly, the one point that I want to touch upon is the environmental aspect of it all. For me, I'm a very environmentally aware person. In fact, I'm fortunate enough to set up the first environmental club in my college, that is known as the Symbiosis Environmental Club. And I was able to combine the efforts of like-minded individuals into propagating, or spreading the message of how we could be environment friendly. And we've conducted a wide variety of initiatives, such as cleaning up the local tekdis, which are hilly areas around Pune. We have been involved in river cleanups, postal awareness campaigns, and even we were fortunate enough to receive a visit from Vandana Saman, who was the MP, the member of the Rajya Sabha for Pune, and who was really taken aback by our initiatives, and was really, really gave the members of our club a strong boost, a strong impetus to continue with our efforts. And that is something that I'm really, really passionate about, because India, again, has a rich history of protecting its environment. And we, as a diverse nation in all sense of the word, but mostly in terms of geographic diversity, we have a responsibility to our earth as well. That is what the COP28 has been happening, for that matter, or all the other environmental activities, focused activities are happening all around the world. So I think that we need to plan our cities in a more environmentally sustainable way. That involves having a proper drainage system, a proper waste disposal system, because the waste disposal systems in many of our cities are quite archaic, if I might say so myself, and they are very, very detrimental to the environment. Burning plastics, burning wood, these are not the right way to go about disposing of our trash. I think a lot more investment into the waste management system of our cities would go a long way. And in fact, we can take a page out of the books of people in villages and towns, for that matter, because of the environmentally sustainable way in which they treat their waste, for that matter, is just amazing. A lot of our issues that we face today can just be solved by looking into our villages, or looking just a bit back into our history as well. Understanding how people of those days dealt with the problems, and those are the problems that we still face today, I might add. And I think this would be the perfect way into making our cities more sustainable, and more environmentally and more economically friendly as well.
Okay.
Uh, but at the end of the day, yes, that is my main focus, and I would love to see our Indian cities, be it Mumbai, be it Delhi, be it Chennai, be it Bangalore, Kolkata, on par with the international cities of, let's say, London, Paris, Washington, or whatever it is. Because we have history, we have a strong legacy, a strong history, a strong culture in these cities. It is just these small problems that we'll have to deal with. But that is mostly from my side.
Well, that's a very articulate and passionate statement, and very clear as to what you like, what you want to do, how you want to do it. And I'm very happy to hear it, because that's what the young people should be focused on. And anything else you want to add here?
Nothing much, Professor. Just the fact that, I mean, again, I mentioned this earlier, but I think that what you're doing right now, the opportunity to give us, I mean, I would say right now, just talking about this has lifted a huge weight on my heart. It's given me a sense of satisfaction to share
Okay.
my views with somebody.
Yeah, well,
And
that, just to go back, this channel is young.
indeed,
And
indeed,
it is
indeed,
very
indeed.
young, and actually, I started it to put my own opinions, okay, and I
Yes,
still
yes,
do, because aiming it at young people.
yes, yes.
But just after a couple of months of that, I woke up one day and said, "This is stupid. You are aiming a channel at the young, but where are the young?" So I decided, and I usually don't look at what others have done or plan anything. Just try it out to say, look, let's flip Indian society. Indian society is seniors
Yes,
talk, juniors listen. Let's flip it.
yes,
Let's have the
yes,
juniors talk and seniors listen. And
yes,
everybody said, "You are stupid. How's this going to work?" I said, "Look, it's going to work, because the
indeed.
young Indians today are very articulate, very passionate, and they know a lot. And if only
Indeed.
we listen to them, then we can say to them, look, the future rests on you. We can't
Indeed.
say to them, the future rests on you, but keep quiet." It
Mhm.
doesn't make sense.
Absolutely true.
It doesn't make
Absolutely
sense. So we
true.
just
Definitely.
I tried it, the first few speakers were totally confused. They say, "Sir, what is this? What is the topic?" I said, "There is no topic." So we tried it out, and here we are today. And I'm glad
Perfect.
that
Yeah.
it is working well. I'm glad
Indeed.
you've spoken. Let's see if we catch up with you in a year or so and see how you're doing.
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely,
And
sir.
in the
Yes.
meantime, let's say bye to the viewers, and I'll be
Yes.
back
Yes.
with another young person or an expert soon. Okay. Bye,
Yeah.
everyone. Okay.
Bye-bye.